Feels good, doesn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Rangers 0, Celtic 1. The first derby of the season goes Celtic's way. The first derby under the return of Brendan Rodgers goes Celtic's way, and he picks up where he left off with his derby dominance. And another win for Celtic, one that puts us 4 points clear of Rangers, keeps us top of the table, and answers a lot of questions for now. A win that probably not a lot of people expected. A win that has been very positive for us Celtic fans moving forward, and one that just feels as good as ever. Considering Celtic were there for the taking today, with a back four consisting of Alistair Johnson, Liam Scales, Gustav Lagerbielke and Greg Taylor, which became a back four of Anthony Ralston, Gustav Lagerbielke, Liam Scales and Alexandro Bernabe. Considering that is what was on the park today, when Celtic are at their weakest, they still managed to get the job done. And that puts a smile on my face. Well, I don't even know where to start, because I, for one, am absolutely delighted. Box office Brendan is back, and honestly, you can sit down and say it wasn't a vintage game of football today. You were looking at a game which, if you were a neutral, you probably watched on going, wow, two sides that aren't at their best. But when you look at it from a Celtic point of view and you put yourself in it as a Celtic fan, I couldn't be more happy with how we played today. Considering the negatives going into this game, the position that we were in, the way that we've been playing, there was a real worry that we could have went out there today and we could have folded. We could have been embarrassed. We could have been really, really poor. But I think considering what was thrown at us and how we had to manage the game, being away from home with no away support element, and a game which Rangers really had to win. I would say the pressure was more on Rangers today to win than Celtic. I thought that we dealt with that incredibly well. And it might have not been a vintage performance in doing so. You know, we've certainly played better against Rangers. We've scored more goals. We've been easier on the eye. We've looked more exciting. But and what we had to deal with today, under the circumstances of being poor at the minute, injuries rampant through our squad, I thought that we dealt with that as well as we could have today. And that's exactly the kind of manager that you get with Brendan Rodgers. We might not always do things the pretty way, but when we're forced to do things the gritty way, we'll do it. And that's exactly what Celtic done out there in the park today. And you heard the reception round Ibrox come the end of the game. Celtic were in no position to be winning that. They really weren't. With the state of our team at the minute, with the 11 that was put out there today, you'd probably fancy Rangers more than you fancied Celtic if you were a neutral. But no, we went out, we played the game to our strengths, and ultimately, we leave with the 3 points. And before I even get into talking about individual players and dissecting each half of the football, I've just got to say a massive well done to every player out in that park today. I was delighted with most players. There was a couple of players who had a kind of standout stinker, but as a unit, as I said, Celtic done everything they had to pretty well today. The second half especially, when all the pressure was on and Rangers had to chase the game, I thought we dealt with it well. You could have sat there for another 45 minutes and I think that we would have kept Rangers away from scoring. Joe Hart was magnificent. He was brilliant. Liam Scales stepped up big time. I didn't think he was amazing in that first half. I thought he looked quite dodgy to start the game, but I thought that he stood up and he done well. I thought just as a unit all in together today in that park, Celtic really stuck to their job and did things right, and it takes a real amount of credit because it's a team and it's a unit which have come under a lot of criticism, and don't get me wrong, we've got a long way to go. That's far from the finished article. That's far from where you want Celtic to be. You want to see us go to Ibrox and be even more convincing than that. But for all the criticism, all the slack and all the worry that there's been surrounding the team at the minute, they went out there today and they put out a real good performance. A Brendan Rodgers masterclass of a performance. And yeah, there was individuals that we'll come on to that slacked, but I would be, you'd be having to force me to find negatives from today, because I'm just delighted that number one, we got the win, and I'm delighted that we can properly now look at this season and try and kickstart it from here, because we needed that today. We needed the turning point. Things could have been very toxic as I sit and record this video, but instead, if you load up social media and you listen to Celtic fans, you talk to your pals, everybody's optimistic and positive, and that's exactly what we needed from today, and credit to each of the players who made that happen. I think that's one of the positives that you get from today's game, especially in the first half. There seems to be the system coming through now. Now, some players are still struggling and trying to adapt to it. You'll know what players I'm kind of on about when I say that. But in that first half, I thought we were the better side. All things considered, I thought that we dealt with things very well. We looked like we actually knew what we were doing moving forward compared to last week against St Johnstone. And that's the beginning of it now, hopefully. That's hopefully what the building blocks will go from to make things better week in, week out. Hopefully performances like St Johnstone and Kilmarnock are history and we don't need to play and watch through something like that again. Because today I really did think that there was a clear improvement, there was a clear development, and yeah, we were forced to do things differently in that second half because Rangers were chasing the game, but that was always going to be the case. You knew that as soon as we went up right before the break, that the second half was all going to be about Rangers going for the game. But I think today there was more of an identity in what Celtic were at least trying to do, and that just makes me feel optimistic moving forward, so hallelujah. Right, let's go back to the start of the game. Let's do things how we normally do it. That 11, when it came out this morning, oh God. I think all of us had the same reaction, and all of us thought that today could have been a long, long day. And the fact of went out to prove otherwise is absolutely brilliant, and we'll come back to that as we move on. But when I seen that team today, oh God, I was fearing. I really thought that we would have seen the likes of Bernardo in. We did hear rumours that Nat Phillips wasn't going to be in, and that was proven when he wasn't involved. We also seen Palma on the bench. So I was thinking to myself, God, right, we've got Turnbull, we've got Scales, we're going to have to brave through the players that we maybe didn't want to see play today, and they really went out there and gave it their all. First half, listen, they started the game exactly how I expected the game to start. Every time we go to Ibrox, it's always the same. Rangers come out of the gates very, very quickly. They try and put Celtic on the back foot so quickly, and that's one thing Celtic dealt with really well after that 10-minute phase had ended. After those opening 10 minutes, I thought Celtic were the far better team in that first half. I thought we looked really comfortable, and I thought there was a lot of phases of play which we looked really, really good moving forward. The only problem was in that first half defensively, I think you can all agree, we were watching through our fingers. The first half defensive performance was dodgy to say the least. I thought that Gustav Lagerbielke looked really out of his depth. He was really poor in that first half, and I thought that was affecting his partner's game. I thought Scales looked a wee bit lost at times because of that. I think there was no really assurance between the two of what was going to happen. Taylor was really poor. Johnston was really the only one out the back four in the first half who I was confident with when we had to defend. But credit to Scales, because I don't think he was all that bad, I must say. In the first half, I thought that, as I said, his partner was causing him maybe to lose that confidence in his game. But we were watching the defence through our eyes. And aside from that, better side, when we were moving forward, there was real quality. And we could have had more than what we got in both halves. But in the first half, yeah, Callum McGregor, what a performance. I hope that that's him now set for the season, because he's not started the season well at all, as we know. But today, he dictated the game. In that first half especially, Rangers were giving him far too much respect. And you know what? Keep doing that. Do that in every derby game, because as long as they do that, we will win every single time. He is the best midfielder in this country, and performances like today goes to prove that. He was brilliant. Every time he had the ball, just cool, calm, composed. He was dictating the way we went. And I don't agree with Kenny Miller very often. But he said one thing on commentary today that he was bang on about, because it's what we were all saying, and that was the fact you can't let Callum McGregor control the tempo of a game. You can't. If you start doing that, you lose games. And that's exactly what McGregor was doing in that first half. Everything good that we were creating going forward was started, or it was going through Callum McGregor. And that was bringing a real confidence to every player around him moving forward. And the players ahead of him, they were allowed to be free. They were allowed to be confident, because the middle of the park had their things together. Whereas in the last few weeks, I don't think we've quite had our shit together in the middle of the park. But McGregor was allowing that today. He was playing really, really well. And yeah, as I said, I thought we were the much better team to watch in the first half in terms of attacking quality. Now, there is one big thing we're going to have to talk about, and we will in a moment, because I know the Rangers fans will want to hear me talk about it. But let's move on to our goal. What a finish from Kyogo. Best since Larsson. No doubt about it. There's not even a question surrounding that. And I know we've known that for quite a while now, but that there, marquee finish from Kyogo. That's him at his absolute best. Fantastic. And he just puts a smile on your face, the wee guy, doesn't he? He's just, where would we be without him? Got it the perfect time, right before half-time. I think that we deserved the goal. I think we were working really well to try and get it. And listen, the way it comes to him, you could say it was gifted to him, but that is a quality finish. That's not easy to score right there and then. From the way he did, the technique that he possessed in that moment, that's a difficult goal to score. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled that it was a chance that was maybe gifted to him and it fell right for him. He could have maybe afforded to try and take a touch and make it easier on himself. And he really made up for what was a couple of chances where he really should have scored in that first half. Celtic should have had 2 or 3 in that first half. The one where I think it's Abada who puts it across goal and Kyogo should be there to finish it and he isn't. Like, he misses the ball. I'm like, how? And then the one where Kyogo takes it right up to Butland and then he waits too long and I think it's Goldson who puts it out. And I'm like, that was nothing. You weren't going to get away with that for too long. It's uncharacteristic of Kyogo nowadays, mate. In his first season, yeah, remember he managed to miss a lot of sitters when he just arrived at Celtic. He got rid of that. So it was never going to happen a third time, and when he was given that opportunity there right before the end of the half, he took it, he made sure he took it, he gave us the lead, and from that point on, it was all about what Brendan Rodgers had to do in the second half to ensure we kept that lead and win the game, and that's exactly what we've done. So we worked hard in that first half, we got what we deserved, and it put us in a position where we could be confident in that second half. So the big talking point, and I can't just pretend it never happened, was the disallowed goal in the first half. Rangers, of course, took the lead in the game. They actually took the lead twice, technically, with an offside goal, but that doesn't matter. The disallowed one, the foul on Gustav Lagerbielke, which ruled out Rangers' opener. Was it a foul? Was it soft? Yada, yada. Listen, I'll say it from an honest football fan's point of view and take away any sort of element of being a supporter of either club here for a moment. That's the kind of foul that would really rile you up and it would really annoy you if it happened to your side. It's annoyed Rangers fans today. If it happened reverse way about, we'd be devastated, we'd be screaming, shouting, all the rest of it. And any club up and down this country, if that happened to you and it ruled out a goal, you would probably be pretty disappointed. Why? Because on the surface, yeah, you could say that was a bit soft. I think that we were let off massively. But at the end of the day, it's a foul. And that's very hard to accept when it influences the score in a game and it influences the final result. But it's a foul. I'm not going to go too in-depth about it because I honestly couldn't care. Celtic have won, so cry about it. But it is a foul. He fouls Gustav Lagerbielke. The goal is disallowed. That happens anywhere in the park, no matter if it leads to a goal or not. That is given as a foul. So don't lie to yourself and say it isn't. Yeah, it's soft. It is. But it's a foul. And that's the overall point that you need to wrap your head around. It's not like he dives. It's not like there's no contact. He fouls Gustav Lagerbielke. And that's why the goal is disallowed. So that's really it. Now, on the flip side, Lagerbielke, he struggled in that first half. He shouldn't have done that. He held onto the ball too long, and I think that really allowed Rangers to try and target him throughout the game. But yeah, the decision was given. The goal was ruled off. It is what it is. As I said, cry about it, because I don't care. Celtic have won the game, and from my point of view, that's all that matters right now. So second half, as I said, Celtic knew exactly what they had to do, and they knew exactly what they would have to do. I was getting the feel that maybe some people would have been overly negative and critical of the second half performance because we weren't on the ball all that often, and we were letting Rangers have so much of the ball. But that was always going to happen. You're in that position in the derby game at Ibrox. That's going to be the case. But once again, I thought we dealt with it incredibly well. And listen, you might say we never seen a lot of the ball and that Rangers were a better team in the second half. I think once again, you could argue that case because Celtic could have had 2 or 3 more in that second half. We were very wasteful with the opportunities we had. But what I did like is we did create those opportunities. We showed that we're capable of hitting these sides in the counter-attack and we can create something. But in future, when it comes to European games, future derby games, or any other position where we're trying to maybe keep a lead and we're having to use our chances sparingly, we need to be better. We cannot throw away those chances in the final third like we did today, because we could have finished that game off a number of times in the second half and we didn't, and that allowed Rangers to have the ball and put the fans like myself and you guys watching at home maybe into a wee bit of fear that we would slip up today. But we didn't, and we didn't because the team had done their job so well. Second half, credit to everybody on that park, because I thought we'd done really well. Joe Hart, stupendous performance, brilliant I thought he was today, and for as much as we've been crying about a new keeper, if he played like that every week we wouldn't even have to have that discussion. Johnston, brilliant till he had to come off. Ralston came on, done a solid job, brilliant as well. Lagerbielke, yeah, he struggled today. There was a few moments where he made big errors, but generally dealt with things where he had to, and it wasn't vintage, it wasn't great, but it was solid enough. Scales in the second half I thought was brilliant. First half, as I said, I thought his game was maybe affected a little bit with the partnership, but brilliant. Taylor was the only one today where I'd struggle to give any sort of pass box. I thought Taylor was rank rotten, to be honest with you. And I was hoping that he would get hooked off sooner for Bernabei. But listen, I just want to give credit to the team in general, because while we won the game, and who cares, that's all. That's the main thing. And as always, it just goes to show that you should keep your mouth shut until the game is done. Listen, Celtic were in no position to really go into this game feeling overly confident with the way that we've been playing. And listen, you always want to fancy your chances, but once again, we've seen Rangers fans organising parties in George Square for after today, and it's ended in a 1-0 defeat. After we drew to St Johnstone last week, a lot of fans getting very cocky on social media. A few people saying they would have scored 4 or 5 into us today. As I said earlier, could have added another 45 out of that game and Rangers wouldn't have scored 1. Celtic are still on top in this country right now. Brendan Rodgers is back, and I hope this is the catalyst for him to kick on and do what he done in his first spell here. And I hope that's the start of us playing some really good football after this international break. It's an international break which I welcome for a change. I feel like Celtic need it, and it will be used well to our advantage. But, you know, if you flip the coin, and it's not for me to comment on, it's not for me to have an opinion on really, because I'm not a Rangers fan, but if I was a Rangers fan, I would be very concerned. And I know that a lot of them are. I look at Michael Beale and I look at Rangers and I don't fear them. I don't look at a Rangers side which I worry about challenging us for league titles anytime soon. And listen, that's the kind of comment that can come and slap you back in the face. Touch wood, it doesn't. But I think Rangers fans know as well as me that right now something has to change. From the man that's managing themselves or someone else. Because we playing that side today should be nowhere near winning games. And yet here we are. And I absolutely fucking love it. Anyway, that's it for my instant match reaction. Enjoy your day, Celts, because wow, I love it. Love it. Box office Brodge is back, baby. So yeah, we'll probably dissect it a little bit further over the next few days. I think we're due to record the podcast tomorrow, so we'll talk about it a lot in that too. But have a fun Sunday. If you're having a wee drink, enjoy it. Keep yourself safe. And I look forward to being back talking about Celtic in a couple. Well, I'm not going away anywhere, but I'm looking forward to talking about the matches in a couple of weeks' time. So, aye, hail, lads, top of the table, as always. Cheerio.